Now to the aftermath of Joe Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. We're joined now by two members of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Congressman Steve Chabot of Ohio and Congressman Scott Perry of Pennsylvania. Congressman Perry is also a retired lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here. We really appreciate it. Congressman Chabot, to you first. On Friday, the Pentagon apologized for the drone strike that killed 10 Afghan civilians, including 7 children, instead of ISIS targets. Here's Pentagon spokesman John Kirby.
On behalf of the men and women of the Department of Defense, he offers his deepest condolences to surviving family members of those who were killed, including Mr. Ahmadi. We apologize, and we will endeavor to learn from this horrible mistake.
Now, Congressman, that was supposed to be a retaliatory strike against those who took the lives of 13 U.S. troops at Kabul airport. Do you believe that the Biden administration may have rushed to act on intelligence because they felt like they needed to show the public that they were pushing back after that attack?
Well, I can't say I personally know that, but I do think it's appropriate for the appropriate committees to investigate that and look into this, because the timing obviously is somewhat suspicious. We know this administration was trying to change the story. And I think it's appropriate for us to determine whether or not that was the case. Now, we know that one can never avoid civilian casualties in every circumstance.
Right.
This happens in war. But in this case, I think certainly the timing is very suspicious.
Congressman Perry, earlier this week, we saw Secretary of State Blinken testify before Congress about the Afghan pullout. I kind of give him a little bit of credit, not that he gave us too much to go on, but at least he showed up. The defense secretary refused to testify. We actually haven't seen Lloyd Austin all week. He's like the incredible vanishing defense secretary. What is going on here? And should he be subpoenaed to testify under oath about the decisions that were made regarding Afghanistan?
Well, let's be clear. Secretary Blinken showed up for the Senate, but he couldn't be bothered to go the 3 blocks to show up for the House Foreign Affairs Committee.
Right.
As far as Secretary Austin is concerned, if quite honestly, either of these two individuals, if they had any self-respect, if they had any respect for their country, they would both resign before being impeached, which is what needs to happen with each of them. This is an epic failure. They have lost the trust of the American people. They have lost credibility for America, and they're responsible for these deaths of not only the members of the military that died needlessly, but of these civilian casualties, which they then went and lied about for political purposes so that they could show us that they were being tough on the perpetrators of those who killed our service members at the end of the withdrawal. Just keep in mind that whoever's responsible for those deaths is still out there, right? Because they killed innocent people, including children. And quite honestly, apologies ring hollow. Where's accountability?
Yeah. People expect the U.S. to act and say what they mean what they say, and act with precision. Congressman Chabot, it seems clear, based on the reports that we're getting from the intelligence community, that within the next 2 years that we could see Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and other terror groups again begin using Afghanistan as a base of operations for attacks outside the country. What do we need to do to protect ourselves?
Well, we should never be in this position to begin with. This administration made a terrible call here. I believe this was the worst foreign affairs blunder in American history. We went into Afghanistan because we had been attacked by Al-Qaeda, who was harbored by the Taliban in Afghanistan. And yes, our brave men and women in uniform kept us safe for 20 years, but then all those gains were kicked aside by this administration so recklessly and in this chaotic pullout. And now the terrorist groups will have a gathering place there to plot against us and our allies, and they'll have the most sophisticated weaponry, $85 billion or so worth of that equipment, our own equipment, to use against us.
Right.
This is a disgrace of epic proportions, never should have happened. And this president, Joe Biden, has been pointing the blame everywhere else. He blamed President Trump. He couldn't follow President Trump's policy on our southern border, or on the Keystone Pipeline, or on the climate accords, or the Iran deal, all that. He threw all. This was the one policy he had to follow. And then he tried to blame the Afghan troops for not fighting when we actually in the last 18 months had not had one American killed there. And that's a good thing. But there were 3,000 Afghans who lost their lives fighting the Taliban. So their excuses ring very hollow.
I want to switch gears to talk about domestic policy, gentlemen, in my remaining couple of minutes with you. Congressman Perry, Congressman Chabot, you're both fiscal hawks. You heard what the president said about 40 new tax increases, 40 new tax hikes. I'd like to get your comments on this. And I want you to actually listen to a SOT from President Biden now on this new plan of his.
Since the pandemic began, billionaires have seen their wealth go up by $1.8 trillion. How is it possible that 55 of the largest corporations in this country paid $0 in federal income taxes?
Congressman Perry, I'll go to you first. Just the big bad corporations here, really? Go ahead.
Well, fascinating to me is all these big bad corporations, lock, stock, and barrel, support the Democrat Party and Democrat initiatives. And I remind everybody that under the Trump administration, it was the first time in about 2 decades that wages actually increased for low-income workers, and that's all going to be reversed under the Biden spending plan and taxing plan. So, the message to President Biden is when you're in a hole, quit digging. We're 28 headed towards $30 trillion in debt. He's looking to spend about twice or almost 3 times more than the federal revenue on an annual basis this year alone. And all this is going to do is crush the remnants of a robust economy under President Trump.
Congressman Chabot, I'll give you the last word on these 40 new tax hikes that were approved by the Ways and Means Committee this week.
Well, this is allegedly to pay for this $3.5 trillion boondoggle of a so-called human infrastructure bill. We really do need the infrastructure fixed, but this human infrastructure is a bunch of radical left-wing things. It's free everything, basically. It's free college, free health care, free you name it. It means our taxes are going to have to go up, and that won't even come close to paying for it. It's a way for the Democrats to raise our taxes. Don't fall for it.
Congressman Steve Chabot of Ohio and Congressman Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, thank you both for your time on this Saturday.
God bless you. Thank you.